Philadelphia Union snapped a nearly 2-month-long winless streak with back-to-back victories at home. We break down the team's successful week at Subaru Park before getting you ready for their upcoming 2024 Leagues Cup campaign. All that and more as Union Insider starts now.
Takes the strike on, and it's off the inside of the post.
Ariel, who scores off the header from the set piece.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm your host, Sage Hurley, filling in for Marissa Pilla, who's in France covering the 2024 Paris Olympics. Today, I'm joined by radio play-by-play announcer Dave Leno and former Union defender Shannon Williams. How's it going, guys?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Before last Wednesday's match, the Union had gone 10 straight without claiming all 3 points. But after a historic 5-1 win against the New England Revolution, the Union came into Saturday's match looking for something they haven't had since early spring: momentum. And they got it in the form of back-to-back wins. With the start of Leagues Cup on the horizon, getting another 3 points was as important as ever in this 2024 season. Needless to say, Subaru Park was an exciting place to be this week. Here's how it all went down.
Okay guys, look, a new challenge and another big opportunity for us tonight, okay? Let's build off the great performance against New England. We know there's even another level that we can go to. We also know that result does not mean we don't follow it up with another great performance. We're looking to get into the playoffs. This group now is going into a break. Everybody executes for 90 minutes, right? This group deserves to be in the playoff picture. Let's finish this the right way, get ourselves back on top. Let's go, Columbus.
No matter what happens tonight, we stick together. This is all we have. Doesn't matter. Positive mindset, positive attitude. We keep a shot out. This is our home. Nothing more than a win. Whatever it takes. It doesn't have to be pretty, but we're gonna stick together. We're gonna fight. We're gonna encourage each other. Win on 3. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Win. Plunging inside, gets it on his right to Leon Buck, plays it through. Gosnell with a chance, walking in, chips it over Willis. He scores! Gosnell has been Goliath inside the 18.
Mukhtar will instead lift the cross in towards Achago, whose header's on target, but a straightforward catch there for Andre Blake. Washington gets forward and lifts the cross, and Mawil has a chance on the volley, and it goes across the face of goal. Achago couldn't get to it, and it flashes wide of the post.
Ua, met there by Sullivan, clears in for Gosnell, who bags his second!
Okay, good guys, just listen up. It's a very good half, okay? It's a really good 45 minutes, right? But it's only 45 minutes, right? Our challenge now is to start with the same intensity in the second half, right? Empty the tank.
To Mukhtar, a nice first touch, and we'll squeeze it back to Bumbury! Oh, what a save from Andre Blake! That's why they missed him! And it's a threatening set piece. It's headed off the woodwork from Coleman.
With his left, rolls it into Mukhtar. He's inside the 18, and Blake makes the save! Blake not once, but twice! That's the Andre Blake we know and love! Willis was left over to Kalman. Let's see the run from Gosnell as Kalman folds. Can Danny pick a pocket? He does! Looks for the hat-trick! Goes past the diving walls! Gosnell get the hat-trick! What a play, Danny! Oh, he did it all by himself! After the best play! And the Union Garner back-to-back hat-tricks in 2 consecutive games! It's a Gosnell night for the ages! 3-0 Union!
The big story in this one is obviously Daniel Gosdag's hat trick. What did you make of his performance?
Really happy for him to deliver in the run of play, also combining with, on that first goal, Quinn Sullivan and Leon Flock. And Danny's been so prolific from the penalty spot, but seeing him take advantage of what I think is a very depleted and horrid back line in Nashville. They've had a lot of issues there. They've kind of changed their focus, bringing in new manager B.J. Callahan in for Leagues Cup. They were under the direction of an interim manager in Rumba Minthali, meaning they're sending more numbers forward. And I think that the Union created so many numerical advantages at the edges of the penalty area that led to Gosdag getting forward and getting past the center backs and beating Willis on the day.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. We've definitely been asking for him to score more from the run and play, take on that next step for him, which is the goal scoring aspect of things. He's got, 14 goals on the season so far, and he's really picked up the slack that Carranza left after leaving the Union. So he's doing a good job of coming back from the Euros and picking up where he left off.
And let's take a look at the other side of the field. This was now the second game in a row with Andre Blake back in net. How important is his presence between the pipes?
Andre's so integral, as you both know, to the Philadelphia Union. He made some timely saves at the end of the game. Really important, especially when the club was up 2-0, made a first big one on a Mukhtar header, and then the second one late, which hopefully will be save of the week, was against Heel Bunbury on that volley. And Blake being back there, as everybody knows watching, is a security blanket for this team. He's counted on to make these jaw-dropping saves, and the crowd feeds off the energy inside the stadium. You do at home. But it's also the team, more importantly, as Shayna knows better than all of us here, is like it gives those defenders confidence. If for some reason, Shayna, they're a step behind one of the guys, Andre's there to bail them out. Maybe we couldn't say that for some of the younger keepers thrust into a situation they didn't see coming this year.
In every game, the game moves so fast, and there's going to be these breakdowns of communication or whatever it might be, and having Andre behind you, and you talked about the 2 huge saves that he's made. Those are saves that haven't been made in these past couple months, we can say. Those saves change games and turn games on their head. Those are saves where we could be now struggling at 2-1. Instead, it goes 2-0, and then we get Gazdag with the third. So those saves are monumental, and you're seeing why he's such an important piece, why he's been a multiple-time goalkeeper of the year. And he just plays such a big part in what the Union do defensively.
We're coming up on a break, but first, here's this week's Union trivia question presented by United Concordia. Ty Baribo recorded his first career Union hat trick last Wednesday against New England Revolution. How many players in club history have now scored a hat trick in MLS play? Find out the answer later in the show. Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. July 17th, 2024 will be a day that lives on forever in Union history. At just 14 years old, homegrown Kevin Sullivan became the youngest player ever to appear in a North American top division league. He broke a 20-year record set by DC United's Freddie Adu in 2004. It was the perfect storm of events on that night leading up to his debut. A dominant win, a hat trick by Ty Baribo, the player he subbed in for, and just moments before entering the pitch, his older brother Quinn hit the back of the net in golazo fashion, and he got to celebrate with him on the sidelines. For this week's Union Roundup, presented by Green Mountain Energy, let's take a look at Kevin's first moments on the pitch. Then we'll hear what he had to say after the final whistle.
History is made for the Philadelphia Union as 14-year-old Kevin Sullivan breaks a 20-year record set in 2004 by Freddie Adu. At 14 years young, he is the youngest ever to play in a Major League Soccer game, the youngest to play for a top sports league in North America, and the youngest to play among the top 5 leagues in Europe.
So obviously I figured that tonight would be the night, or Saturday. However, I didn't know I was going in until our equipment guy, Brandon Kaminsky, came down and said, "You'll be going in 5 minutes." And then Damian Lowe dapped me up, and I think that was like a signal to the fans that it was happening. And then he started like going like this behind his back, and I think that's when everyone knew. So yeah. This is just a start. Really happy to have done this, but it's honestly the first box checked off. So long journey ahead. I know it's all about where you finish, not where you start. So I'm just gonna keep working, keep developing here. So my main focus is on Philadelphia and our season ahead.
As fun as it is to talk about the Union's last 2 regular season games, we have a tournament to get ready for as Leagues Cup play kicks off this weekend. We're going to go over everything you need to know about the tournament with our bracket breakdown presented by Subaru. This is year 2 of the Leagues Cup, so you may already be familiar with how it works, but if you don't, here's a little refresher. The tournament is made up of all 29 Major League Soccer teams and all 18 Liga MX teams, the top flight division in Mexico. The top finisher in the 2023 season from each league gets a bye into the round of 32. This year, it's Columbus Crew and Club America. The rest of the 45 teams are split into groups of 3, where the top 2 winners of each group will advance to the knockout stage. So, how do you determine who advances? Well, each regulation win in the group stage is 3 points, but there are no ties in Leagues Cup. If the match is tied after regulation, a penalty shootout determines the winner. A team gets 2 points by winning in penalties, but 1 point for making it there, even if they lose. And a reminder for what's at stake. The top 3 finishers at Leagues Cup will qualify for a spot in CONCACAF Champions Cup, with the winner automatically getting a bye into the round of 16. The Union will be hosting their group stage matchups at home, taking on Charlotte FC this weekend and Liga MX side Cruz Azul on August 4th. What do you expect from the Union in their approach to this tournament?
I fully expect for them to really go for this. I know that Jim Curtin really wants to win trophies for this club and for the fans. I expect them to put out their best lineup. That could change depending on matchups and how the other teams are looking. This will be something that they take very seriously in terms of how they prepare for it. I'm sure the team's been taking penalty kicks and going over all the little nuances that comes with tournament play. It's very different when you're in a tournament compared to the regular season, where the games stack up with one another, and it's important to get results regardless of if it's a tie and you win in penalties or you win outright. It'll be a tricky group with a team in Charlotte that's played well, especially against the Union this year, and also Cruz Azul, who's in first place in Liga MX right now. So they have a tough road ahead of them, but I fully think that they'll be prepared for what's coming.
I'm right there with you, and I think the group that the Union face this go-around is way more tougher than it was last year against Tijuana and Querétaro. As you mentioned, and rightly so, Charlotte's been playing very, very well. They're unbeaten the last 3. Dean Smith, their new manager, has been doing a marvelous job with them. Now the 3rd different manager for Charlotte. They just got back their number 9 in Karol Świderski, coming on loan from an Italian club and back with the Charlotte team. So they were searching for a number 9, and they're really built defensive first. They're seemingly one of the least amount of teams in possession, 3rd least in the whole MLS right now, around 44%. So they take care of business trying to play on the counter, but now you bring in a number 9 with the Israeli international, Leo Abato on one side, Kerwin Vargas. You have Ashley Westwood, who played in England as well. It's a tough team that the Union did lose, by the way, back on June 22nd, 2-0 at home, and it was a scoreless draw at Bank of America Stadium before that in May. So it's a team that both sides in Charlotte and the Union know each other very well. The Union haven't had the better end, despite getting that clean sheet in the scoreless draw earlier this year. Hopefully, again, it's another home game for the Union. Again, we talked about momentum from the matchups against New England, a 5-1 win, the 3-0 win over Nashville. Hopefully they can get it done against Charlotte. And then, thankfully, they'll have a week to go before the Cruz Azul game. Cruz Azul, one of the teams that everybody knows, one of the bigger Mexican sides, lost in the final last year in their league to Club America. Right now, they're 4-0-1 in their Liga MX side in the Apertura, which is the opening season. So it's going to be a tough go for the Union, but I do think because they're at home, you got to give them a fighting chance to get out of the group.
Philadelphia Union had a very successful 2023 Leagues Cup campaign. I have to ask both of you, do you have a most memorable moment from that run last year? I know what mine is, but I'll ask you first.
I think I'll go with the Chris Donovan late winner. I think that was a huge goal for this club and one of the biggest goals that he scored in his career. And I thought it was just a really cool moment, especially in a tournament that was new last year, and just being able to continue to move on. We obviously had the Messi game, which didn't go our way, but just the excitement of it as we went through that tournament last year and all the nuances that it brought, I thought were pretty cool.
That was definitely up there for me. And I remember on the call saying, Donovan scores, he's the hero at the death, survive and advance, checkmate. Yes, I go back and listen to my calls. You know that, with me in the booth. That was in the 101st minute. That was an amazing, amazing moment. Really happy for the player, Donovan, and that got us to the Messi game. I remember with the Miami game, even though it didn't go our way in that Leagues Cup semifinal, 2 guys were watching off the Commodore Barry Bridge, like straddling one of the beams of the bridge, looking down into the stadium. Since you rolled with Donovan, quickly I'll just say, I think winning on back-to-back games and penalties over DC and the Red Bulls as well, to get us to the quarterfinal to face Querétaro, then eventually the semifinal against Miami. So that's when Olivier Bizot has zero career goals in MLS play, scored on a penalty. Jesus Bueno also scored. So you mentioned earlier, this one does not go into extra time. We go right to penalties. That definitely factors in. That helps the team, obviously, with a congested schedule for both leagues. So hopefully we can win on penalties. And I think Andre Blake and the others will be called upon in penalty situations in this tournament.
Dave, that moment when Jesus Bueno buried his penalty shot to send the Union to a win over New York Red Bulls, a rival, to put them in the quarterfinals, that was my favorite moment. But we're coming up on another break for Union Insider. But when we return, we'll break down what the Union will need to do to defeat Charlotte FC in their first Leagues Cup game. We'll be right back after this. It's time for this week's Chick-fil-A Nugget of the Week. Kevin Sullivan made his debut on Wednesday, July 17th against New England Revolution. At 14 years and 293 days old, he became the youngest player ever to make his debut among the top North American professional sports leagues, which includes MLB, MLS, NBA, NFL, NHL, NWSL, as well as the top 5 European soccer leagues. How about that? Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. The Union are back home this weekend to take on Charlotte FC. So it's time for these guys to hand over their keys to the game, presented by Subaru. Dave, let's start with you. What's your key to the game?
For me against Charlotte, it would be create overloads into the wide channels. I think the Union were so successful doing that against Nashville, and hopefully they'll mirror that performance in this one against a very stout and resolute Charlotte team defensively. Charlotte does pace MLS with 9 shutouts. That's thanks to their goalkeepers doing a great job this year. Christian Kalina, they're tied for the top spot with LAFC. However, their outside backs, if Yuri Orinin starts on the left, Nathan Byrne on the right, they do look to get advanced into the attack. They more played like a Man City style, maybe last year, getting those outside backs inward, but I see those two guys taking risks, leaving Privet and Malanda if they start as center backs on island. So in this game, if it can be Olivier Bizot, what he did against Nashville, getting high into the attack, and whether it's Bedoya or Sullivan on the right side of the diamond, whoever's up top for the Union, in addition to Gazdag, create those 4v3s, those 2v1s, or on the other side for Kai Wagner and others to whip in a ton of crosses. I think if we can get those little clinical finishes that Danny had in the game against Nashville, I think there will be ample opportunity against a team that is tough to break down. And lastly, I'll say the Union have a ton of film on Charlotte, having already played them twice. But hopefully if they can dominate wide and high press early on at home, they should have a lot of success, in particular in the first half of this game.
I like it, Dave. What do you think, Shannon?
I'm going to piggyback off what Dave said and talk about those wide areas again, this time on the defensive side. I think that this is a team that likes to put service into the box. Between Westwood and Orinin, they have 11 assists. They're a team that's very tall and good on attacking set pieces. The Union are going to have to do a good job of making sure that they force those outside backs in Orinin and Burns back into their own end. Ken and Bizot, and on the left side, Wagner, do a good job of getting into the attack. That springs a lot of good things for the Union team, and if they can do a good job getting out to those players, not allowing them to have free service, then they can stymie this Charlotte attack that's built on service.
It was a busy weekend in Major League Soccer outside of the Union, so let's take a look at some other big moments in this week's Around the League, presented by Torque. Inter Miami is back, people. A Federico Redondo brace led Miami to a 3-1 win over Toronto FC on Saturday. They have once again reclaimed the lead in the Supporter Shield standings, and they don't even have Messi back yet. Speaking of top-of-the-table teams, LA Galaxy are now once again leading the West. The Galaxy scored 3 first-half goals on Saturday to beat Colorado Rapids 3-2. And for the first time since 2011, they'll head into the All-Star break at the top of the Western Conference standings. When Union Insider returns, Dave and Shannon will give us their players to watch for Saturday's match as the Union kick off Leagues Cup against Charlotte FC. We'll be back after this. Here's the answer to this week's Union Trivia question presented by United Concordia. Ty Baribo is now the 10th player in Union history to record a hat trick with his 3-goal performance against New England Revolution last week. Final segment here on Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. For us to put a bow on this episode, we need some all-state players to watch. Dave, who is your player to watch for this Saturday's matchup?
I'm rolling sage with Kai Wagner, I think, because of everything we stated about how tough Charlotte is defensively. I think maybe a set piece will determine who will win this first group stage game, and everybody knows That all starts with Kai Wagner with his services, not just from corners, but free kicks, from other opportunities, and also maybe it will happen in the run of play too. But I think Kai on a set piece gets an assist. Mark it down for a Leno's lock that we have during our chalk talks before the game at Union Yards. I think Kai's going to have a good night against Charlotte, and we'll need it, especially.
What do you think, Shannon?
I'm going to go with Jacob Glesnes. We talked about the direct play of Charlotte, and I think he's going to be hugely important if Ajiman starts up top, just making sure that he deals with him and wins those first and second balls. He also can get on the end of a set piece from Kai, so I think it'll be important for him to have a good game to keep this Union rolling and getting another win at home.
I can't wait to see how it all shakes down, but that'll do it for this one. The Union Open League Cup play on Saturday against Charlotte FC at Subaru Park. You can watch with MLS Season Pass on Apple TV at 8 p.m. or listen to Dave and Sebastian Latou on the radio call on 97.5 The Fanatic. If you're coming down to the stadium, I'll be with Dave Leno at the club's newest premium tailgating space, Union Yards, for a pregame chalk talk. Hope to see you there, but for Dave and Shannon, I'm Sage Hurley. We'll see you next week.